hope you've had a nice Christmas and looking forward to a very, very loud and boisterous New Year. I know you're all very pleased to see my wonderful, very pale face again. But here I am, back for my next episode of Calicast, which is obviously having some rave reviews. The next guest I've had on is my dear friend Jason Ramsay, who is talking about his fitness business. Generally, we're talking about obviously coronavirus as well, because we can't escape it as much as we want to. And we have a snippet of Villa Talk, a snippet of football. But yeah, just wanted to kind of discuss with him how he's been getting on with his own independent business throughout the whole lockdown situation and what kind of next year looks like for him. So hopefully you will enjoy, and do let me know what else you'd like to see on Calicast, and if you'd like to come on yourself, if you've got a great angle for me. I'm not taking anyone. You need to have a really good, strong story, so let me know.
We've never had a full lockdown here. Like, when you compare it to what other countries have done, like in Dubai, you had to go online and apply to go into supermarkets. We could just get up and go. They're never going to restrict you from leaving your house once a day because they can never police it. Whereas in Spain, they just locked everyone down. They basically had police patrolling everything. So we've been quite lucky in retrospect, but I think that's been our downfall in terms of we're at this stage now. Do you get what I mean? Where there's other countries at better stages than us. I think because he's just been too lenient throughout, I think.
Mate, 100% agree. I mean, that's all I've been saying for the last... how long? If he... March, April, if he had said, right, you're going to be restricted nearly 95% of your life for 6 months, and it's going to be horrendous, it's going to be boring as hell, but 6 months... like shit, basically, for like a longer term gain.
Yeah, you'd take it, wouldn't you? 100%.
That's what Wuhan did and everything.
Yeah.
But it's because he's trying to be everybody's friend and say, oh, you're in tier 3, you're in tier 1, you can do this, you can do that. Like, he's been too wishy-washy, and it's left the country in a shambles, man.
And I do get businesses, like, obviously, especially like your hospitality industry, my own industry, in terms of everything. Like, it has been hard this year, but you're looking at it for the greater and for the long-term cause, in terms of if you just shut everything down and literally had a proper lockdown, we might be in this phase. We never know, but we might not be in this phase. And they are the damned if they do, the damned if they don't a bit. My thought process in terms of, if they locked everything down last month and said Christmas is just not happening, you can't mix households, but it means that come the back end of January, we can go on and start living our lives again, I would have took that 100%. I would have took that every day of the week.
Exactly.
And I think because they've half-heartedly done it in areas and times, I think this is why we find ourselves... I mean, even putting London into tier 2 was madness. Like, you knew what was going to happen. Like, obviously, the infection rate just skyrocketed, and that is surprise when... you've seen it here, mate. Like, the minute you can go into a pub, the pubs are busy. So when you're in the most condensed city in Europe, one of the most condensed cities in Europe, and you tell them, right, they can go shopping, all the shops are open, just remain socially distanced. You've been to Oxford Street, been to Regent's Park, you've been in all of them in the best of times, and it's rammed at Christmas. You cannot move. So what do they fully expect? And then to give everyone 6 hours to effectively leave London if they need to, or to get home. Again, they're going to expect it differently. But like, no government in this time, in peaceful times, have had to deal with anything like this. I don't think the Labour government would have done any better. I don't think Liberal Dems, you put any politician in this place, I think they're as bad as each other. But I do think they should have took a tougher stance initially and just been like, right, we're shutting absolutely everything down. This is going to be a hard 4 to 6 months or 3 months or whatever it was, but literally everything's shut down. You have to apply to go online for your shopping, or you get it delivered to you. And there are other side effects of that in terms of mental health. I know a lot of people have struggled with that. And it's not nice being locked up in your house. It's not nice, sort of, especially like, we're lucky, mate, we've got gardens we can go into. Do you get what I mean?
That's the thing, mate, we don't even consider that.
Yeah.
It's going to say, because obviously we're very lucky. We don't even, I think I was speaking with one of my mates the other day, we don't even consider like living in a flat, or not even having somewhere to live or whatever. But we're lucky, man. Like after this, I'm going to go for a run. Obviously, you got your thing going on. It's just we've been able to get out.
Yeah.
It's like, Jace, it's hard though, because like obviously I'm doing this podcast, and every conversation I'm going to have is going to start the same way, regardless of who I'm speaking to. In it, like, like we're not even going to be talking about it generally. I was thinking about it yesterday. Every single day for the last year, nearly, has been a conversation about this, which is mental, and nobody wants to be talking about it. It's like it's unavoidable. Obviously, me and you are going to be speaking about. Your thing, your fitness and everything, but that is completely impacted by
massively.
So, like, how has it been? Because obviously, me and you spoke all year, but like, how is it? Obviously, Max, because I was thinking, we spoke more in trainers than we have in words, haven't we?
You know what? If I'm honest, it's been an eye opener. One of my clients, a few clients run like really successful business, and one of them said something to me, and he was just basically like, you've reached the end of the year and your business is still trading. So that shows something. Do you get what I mean? Which is good, because I know, again, I've seen other trainers that they've had to go and get other jobs to basically survive and to pay for their family and stuff. Yeah. And I've always had 2 jobs, Dave, you know that. So I've always like sort of taught at Loughborough, and I've always done the business. And slowly, rather than Loughborough being full-time, the business was going to come full-time. And this was probably going to be the year to transition that. So it's probably held that off for another year, because that sort of full-time wage coming in from Loughborough was a lifesaver this month. Obviously, my business format is similar to a gym format, so people pay memberships. I only have pay-as-you-go sort of as PTs and stuff, so I've just got some really good and really loyal clients, if I'm completely honest, who have continued to just keep paying memberships throughout the year, which kept the business afloat. Obviously, we've had to make changes, so Zoom has just become massive. I was never a fan of really online training and online sessions and stuff, but obviously beggars can't be choosers when it comes to it. So we've had to sort of go on Zoom. Worked really well in the summer, if I'm completely honest. Everyone was logging in. But then one thing I did say is that the novelty wears off of it. You can't beat that personal aspect of training in terms of when you're with someone one-on-one and when there's a group. I mean, last year, we was having a group of 50 people at boot camp coming to train.
Which is massive. Huge numbers, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's brilliant. Like, and each year, I think it's been going, next year will be the 8th year we've been running. And each year we've seen a steady decline of average. There was a time when I'd be happy with 6 people. And then now, if pre-COVID, if we had 30 people in a session, I'd say it was a quiet session. So that's the levels we've sort of gone up to. But obviously, with the new COVID rules coming in, when we could actually get back outside anyway, you could only have a maximum of 30, which, in honest, does have its benefits. The groups are just easier to control. You correct people's forms a bit better. You could probably do a bit more than when you have 50. But it does show that, really and truly, last year when we was hitting the numbers of 50, this year we probably would have been slightly higher. But yeah, I mean, in terms of obviously everything, the online aspect, it probably means that I will probably integrate into the business for a long term. How? I'm not 100% sure how it go that way, because I think eventually you can't really beat the sort of personal aspect of you working in a group and stuff.
100%.
And the novelty worn off for a lot of people in the end, and especially now the weather's changed, it's winter. You couldn't, after 4 o'clock it's dark, in the morning it's dark. So then the Zoom sessions, when we had to go back to them for the month or so, they went quiet again. So if I'm honest, in terms of if we do go into some sort of lockdown tomorrow for the new year, I don't know how people are going to react to it, if I'm completely honest. We'll just see how it is. But again, no, I'm just lucky. I've had a lot of loyal members that have just continued to keep paying memberships.
Like you say, Max, how long have you been doing it then? It's just building. You've been building it up, haven't you?
Yeah. So me and a mate, I'm still good friends with him now. We sort of done our master's degree in strength and conditioning, and then like we're both scratching around to try and get internships and stuff. Couldn't get anything, but we're both at the age where, because we both sort of done our undergrads, then went and worked, and then sort of left our jobs to go back and do it. So I think Yeah, we were both like 26 at the time. We're both at an age where we need to earn money. So as a student coming out of uni at 21, you could probably afford to do a bit of unpaid work at times and stuff if you've got that support network around you. But we was at the age where I needed money. So we ended up setting up the business, when I was 26. And what, I'm 34 now. So,
okay, so I can't believe that.
Pardon?
But you can't either, can you?
No, it's flown. Like,
I remember your first man, and it doesn't feel like it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, it shows time waits for no one. Yeah. Without you blink and look, we've been in the house for how many months of this year, and we're still looking at we're in 2021 next week. So time waits for no one. But we lasted a few years, and then I sort of took it over myself. And he went and done his own thing, and I've done my own thing, and then it's really grown from there. The business, if I'm completely honest. I made a few changes, and it's getting big. It's doing well. Hopefully next year, with COVID affecting, and there might be so many sort of commercial properties coming available, I hopefully try and get my own space next year.
The main objective for you,
yeah, 100%. I love teaching, and the sort of teaching I do. I work with elite athletes teaching, so I work with a number of Premier League footballers, some internationals now. Again, like people that have gone Olympics and stuff. But if I'm going to be completely blunt about teaching, actually teaching is 20% of the job. So the rest of the 80% is me sitting at a laptop, filling in spreadsheets, marking. I can't be bothered for it anymore. And when I've got a business, it's something that I'm passionate about as well. And that's on the side, and it is doing quite well. I just know eventually we will go full time. So that hopefully, if I do get a premises and do manage, even if it's just like a studio where I do all my personal training sessions there, some small group sessions, and then keep boot camp at the school where it is, then great. And if it's not, and if I could kill two birds with one stone, I will. But that is my goal now, to sort of get that premises and then start working full time with it.
Yeah, like that is your passion, is it? You want to be doing that full time, and
yeah.
So what made you get into teaching initially then? Just the fitness aspects of things?
No, it was completely random. I used to work at Blues in the community.
I remember. Yeah.
I used to go into like schools and do coaching and stuff. And because I'd done a sports science degree, they needed a tutor one day. And they were like, Jace, you are technically qualified. Do you want to jump into the classroom and do it? And I just never looked back. I jumped in, found I was quite good at it, quite good at speaking. I knew everything that they needed to learn and never looked back. So I thought that I didn't want to teach, and I applied to join the police.
Really?
I've done all the tests, passed every one of them. They were brilliant, to be fair. Like, we had a day where you have a day where you go and do a maths and English exam, and then they put you into some scenarios you have to act out. So I've trained actors just effing and blinding at you. You've got to calm people down and do whatever. And then Theresa May cut funding. So they stopped recruiting. So literally I told my job by then I was leaving, doing everything. Theresa May cut funding, and it just left me in limbo. So I ended up in a dead-end job for a bit.
That's mad, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then I slipped a disc in my back. Playing football, and then while I was getting fit at Cov Uni, I saw the strength and conditioning guys working and thought to myself, I'd like to do that. To quit my job, went back to uni, and then when I couldn't find a job in strength and conditioning, I just went back to teaching and applied for the Loughborough job and got it. So I started it, again. I was like temping. And then again, they're like two London buses. You wait for ages, then they come up once. Literally, business started in the January, and I started at Loughborough in the January, and coincide. I've just been going ever since. So yeah, the teaching's great, mate. Like I've met some great kids. There's not one kid I can tell you I've disliked, and that's me being sincerely honest. Like, I've just had enough of it now, and I know when my passion's elsewhere as well. Then it's there. I mean, I always wanted to work with elite athletes. That was the goal when I went into strength and conditioning. But then I found that working with general population, it's great when you work with an elite athlete who can move properly, who can squat, who can run, who can do whatever. But when you take someone who can't move at all and within a few months they're doing everything they couldn't do, there's some really good satisfaction out of that, mate. So I think that's where the passion comes into it.
It's interesting that, Jace, because me and you have been talking about PT sessions, so you're going to have that with me. So you're going from like a blob, mate. I'm going to be the blob, and then you're going to see me just become an elite professional in the
But that's the goal, mate. I mean, I'm a bit different to a personal trainer, so I'm a strength and conditioning coach. So I'm aiming to basically get your strength, get you healthy, get you fit. You're not running in pain, you're not walking in pain, you're not squatting in pain. So I probably look into you a bit more than probably, you've got some great personal trainers out there, don't get me wrong. But again, strength, get you strong, get you healthy, condition you for life. So if you need conditioning just to get to work and sit down and get up without feeling pain and walk into the car, that's where I come into it. If you need conditioning to go back into some form of sport or some form of exercise, that's where I come with it. Then obviously, if you're moving better, you're feeling healthier, weight loss and stuff comes because you want to move more. You're not going to run if it hurts, but if it stops hurting and you're running fine, then you're going to do it more. And that's where the sort of hand in hand come in. Obviously with nutrition as well, that's something I could go into detail another time, if you like. But yeah, mate, it's just great. Like again, like I've got a client, 40 years drinking, smoking, eating what he wants, could barely touch his toes, couldn't balance on his leg, could hardly move. Now, mate, does single leg work, fit as anything. A bad week for him training-wise is training 5 times a week. Really? His lifestyle's just completely changed. That is rewarding, mate. That, look, when you look at stuff like that and you see people like that, it makes your job worthwhile. Don't get me wrong.
God, 5 times a week's enough for anyone, really, as well.
Oh, mate, like he trains more than me, and I say it to him all the time. I try and get that mindset into him in terms of, well, 5 times a week's brilliant. Do you get what I mean? If you train 3 times a week, that's really good. But he's just, the whole lifestyle for him's now changed, and sort of when you see stuff like that, when it's great working with someone over 8 to 12 weeks who's got a wedding or a holiday and stuff. They get into shape, they get stronger, and they get ready for the wedding. But when you work with someone over long term and you see massive differences in people, like there's some great satisfaction seeing that. It's really good seeing it.
It's mad, isn't it, that?
Yeah.
That's what you're going to have with me, Jace. But like, it's funny how you said about aches and pains, because I don't know what's happened to me in the last couple of weeks. I feel about 62. Honestly, my knees, mate. I played football about 2 weeks ago, but I haven't played properly in 10 years because I probably told you, I did my knee when I was like 22, 23. And I haven't been the same since. I've run and everything, but the pain now, because I've literally played 2 or 3 times in the last couple of months, but that's the first I've played in 10 years. I can't move.
Yeah, like you know what, okay, it's hard. It is hard, mate. I mean, I started playing last year again on a Sunday, and it's the first time I've really probably kicked a ball for 5 or 6 years. Because, you know, I've been following Villa everywhere. And to be fair, once we get back into the stadiums, that still is my main thing. So Villa playing on a Sunday, I'm not playing football. I'm going to Villa Park. I'm going to Southampton to watch them. I'm doing whatever. But I've really enjoyed it. And I always say to people, if you can play your sport, go and do it. To go and do what you enjoy, because there will probably come a time where your body simply cannot do it anymore. But if you look after your body, that time comes 20 years later rather than 5 years later. Do you get what I mean? So
100%.
You want to get to a point. And if you look in other countries, Dave, where people work their arse off for a living and they do whatever. Like, we went to Thailand last year. You see old Thai people, they're squatting right, working, they're doing whatever. They don't have the luxuries we have here. So they're constantly moving. They have to move because of work, mate. And they grow old a lot healthier than we do here because of the luxuries that we have. So it's all about just keeping yourself moving, keeping yourself active for as long as you can. But I always say football, like, I always encourage you, if you want to play football, go and play football again. Unless you've got something mechanically wrong with you, at times where you're looking at it thinking, no, football can actually do more damage, then you're absolutely fine. And it is, if I knew at 23 what I knew now, I probably would still be playing a good level of semi-professional now, because I'm probably physically fitter now than I was when I was 23, which is mad. But slipped a disc, was out for 2 years, went and that, then tried to play again, just didn't feel the same. So I just knocked it on the head.
Not for the twinge of disappointment now, Jace, when you're getting skinned by some geezer that you knew you'd be having. I did that beer belly.
Yeah.
Megging me and that, and I was like, I'm just ashamed of myself, man.
That's what stopped me playing Saturdays, mate, if I'm honest. I was playing with people that pre-injury, and when I was fit, this was like years ago, obviously, that I know I'd probably have a field day against. I know I could do better against, but my body was hit to a point. I just went, forget this, I'm done. Like, if they're marking me out a game as a forward, that should never be happening, because I would have destroyed him pre-injury, and that's where I was with it. So now I just go and play on a Sunday, man, and it's great because I remember being the youngest in the team. I was playing semi-professional at 17. And all the boys all joke about it now. All my mates from football, they're all a good few years older than me. I am the young one. They're like, but you've been around forever. And I've just started really young. But now I'm the oldest in my Sunday team. And it's like a complete role reversal. It's role reversal. Like they're like, Rama, you're the veteran, mate. Speak to everyone. I'm like, for fuck's sake.
It's similar to me because I was playing. I was half decent, man. I was fast, like left back, left wing, and then I was 14, playing for like the under 18s, and like at the time you're thinking bloody hell, because obviously your body ain't formed or anything. I weren't as big as I am now. I was a scrawny piece of piss. You know what I mean? But then I was always the youngest in anything I did football wise, and then when you get to like, well, I don't know, probably late 20s, early 30s, and you're thinking, I can't be having these young lads skin you, man. It's horrible.
And that's what it is. And I say it to Beth now, and I say it to my dad. I'm like I'll qualify for over 35s next year. And it's mad, innit? And but I said I will always play open age until I physically cannot keep up with the young boys. But at the minute, I'm playing with lads on a Sunday who play an okay level on a Saturday. And I'm holding my own. Do you get what I mean? Like, obviously, my game's changed. Any ball that goes in behind, I just look at the midfield and be like, what are you doing? and stuff like that. But I'm enjoying it and I'm keeping up, mate. And that's where I am. And the minute I really stop keeping up, then I'll be like, yeah, over 35s now. But even then, over 35s, man, it's some very good teams in that league. And it's a very good level. So, in terms of sport, if it's football, rugby, cricket, whatever, the longer my dad's 60 next year and he still plays.
Does he play?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, plays cricket.
Oh, cricket.
So I mean, cricket was my first sport. I played cricket before I played football.
Really?
Yeah, mate, because we grew up with it. Like my dad played quite a good level cricket semi-professionally, so he used to play all over the country. I used to follow him. And then, like, he'd drag me and my brother with him, or I'd go with him, or if he's playing in big finals, like, we'd all go. So cricket was the first sport I actually played. And then sort of football just slowly took over. And then, obviously, I ended up at Blues Academy for 4 or 5 years. And then come out and went into semi-professional football. So, but cricket was, it's one of my regrets, really. I wish I carried on playing it. I was probably actually better at cricket as a kid than I was at football. And I just knocked it on the head when football took over.
I didn't know that about
you. Yeah. But I enjoy cricket now. I enjoy watching it. I just ain't played since I was a child, really.
Yeah.
And that's probably the one regret I do have in terms of sports I should have carried on. And children, you expose them to as many sports as possible. If you look at all your top athletes now, I guarantee if you lined up 10 of them, 7 or 8 of them were good at other sports. They played other sports. You get so many skills from other sports. And then as you get older, that's when you start to be like, right, football's my sport. Cricket's my sport. I dedicate myself to it. But yeah, cricket was my first sport, mate, my first love. I still love cricket now. So
one of the big things I have with that, I think, I wish of my parents, I was a bit more encouraged to go into boxing.
Yeah.
When I was, like, before I was even 10 or whatever, because it would have come in handy when I was older for all the scrapping. Yeah. But it would have been, I think, just for fitness.
Yeah.
And discipline, and just I've done a little bit in the last couple of years, but nowhere near as much as I want to do. But I think I wish I'd done a lot more when I was younger. And obviously,
It's a great sport, you know. It's an absolutely fantastic sport.
Mate, I can't get over. I was just doing a bit of pad work, and God, you won't. How tired you get? It's unbelievable.
I always say your martial arts sports, your combat sports, I should say, are probably amongst your fittest athletes, because when you think you have to keep a certain so if you take boxing, you have to keep a certain work rate for 3 minutes. You're going to do that 12 times, and you're taking punishment as you're doing it. So, like, I got up and watched Callum Smith v Canelo the other week, and you're taking body shots for fun, Callum Smith, and he's still going. So you're getting hit in your stomach, mate, in your ribs. You're getting hit in your face, but you have to keep moving. You have to keep your arms up, which is hard in itself. You walk around for 3 minutes like this,
right?
Your arms are aching. It's hard, mate. So I do think they're amongst some of the fittest athletes out there. Your combat sport people, especially your boxers, because, mate, the conditioning they have to put themselves through to get there, and brilliant, mate. Like, you can do nothing but admire them.
Like that, unless you do it, and I've done 10 minutes in comparison to mad, professionals. The fitness levels of a joke, aren't they? Really, I mean,
100%, mate. Yeah, like they're just unbelievable. And it is like I would never sort of criticise a boxer, because I've never been in that position. To get in the ring must be something itself. And like, I've done a pissed up one in Thailand when I went with my 4 mates and beat some Australian man up. But But other than that, like, I've never done it properly. Do you get what I mean? And even then, I think we had 3-minute rounds. We had 2 of them, mate, and I was sick. I went back to the hotel and made myself sick after. And I just thought, I was pissed out of my head and probably had loads of food in, but I thought to myself, bloody hell, like, guys do this for a living.
And honestly,
we 12 of them. Do you get what I mean? So, yeah, mate, it's a great sport, boxing.
That's what makes me laugh when it's like all the big fights come about. Like, obviously, Joshua the other week, and then on about Fury Joshua next year. Everyone's a boxing expert when it all comes.
Yeah. And you know what though? It does show that sport does bring a lot of people together. And I think when the lockdown happened and there was no sport, I just seen people falling out left, right, and centre. Like, I seen well-known friends, like I'd seen it on Twitter and stuff. They were arguing constantly, and I'm getting phone calls. Rama, do you see what so-and-so said? Do you see
really?
What honestly, mate, and I remember saying to myself once, we need football back. Because football, and mate, the minute the sport come back, everybody's getting along again. And I think there's no coincidence there. Sport does that. Whatever sport you play, so obviously boxing's such a popular sport. Everyone gets involved in that. Obviously football's the biggest one. So there's people who are falling, and especially falling out about what's going on in the world at the minute, some politics. I've seen different opinions on your Black Lives Matter movement and stuff. I've seen friends openly fall out about that. What to do with COVID. Again, I've seen friends openly fall out on that, getting to a point where they're offering each other out at times. And you're like, really? The minute football come back, mate, gone. And then I think that's what sport does with a lot of people. Like the morale of people, it does really boost them.
You felt it before when it was normal. Like, obviously the 2018 World Cup was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But then I completely agree with you, Jace. I mean, now more than ever, I can't wait for the Villa games.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I love Villa and that, but even last night, obviously, we played the game. I'm thinking, right, when's the next one? Count day. Obviously, it's Friday. I'm thinking, right, Friday, then it'll come to Friday, and I'll be like, right, when's the next one? Because it's keeping you going, man. And then
massively. It does help that the flying as well.
Yeah, we'll have to mention that.
Does help, believe me, I've had periods where I've had tickets for games. I'm like, oh God, I'll have to go today. And then you're there, and after an hour, you think, forget this, I'm going home. And I did. Do you remember when I went up to Sheffield United away? When I think one of Steve Bruce's last games, and we're 3-0 down after 35 minutes. I got up and just went home. And I think I was back in Birmingham before full time. And I remember ringing Beth. She's like, "You're not at the games?" "No, I'm at home. The shit I've just done." Remember the stewards like, "You're leaving?" I'm like, "Mate, 3-0 down. The game's done." So obviously it's great seeing, but again, when your team's getting battered, you're still watching them, mate. Do you get what I mean? You've just got a different mentality when you are watching them. But as you say, mate, it does help now they're flying. It does really help.
It's just because there's been nothing else to do, and then like I think, like you say, it was just everyone was just overjoyed when it came back. I think it was July, wasn't it? And then September, like you say, we're doing well, but then I think just watching any game, just having like any game on football, or so, mate. I'm weird. Obviously, I love football, but I don't like to be defined by it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I want people know I'm a Villa fan, and I'm same with you. And obviously, we love our music and that. So I don't just want to be purely about.
No, I completely get that.
I'm saying, but
when you meet someone new, obviously one of your first points is talking about football.
Yeah.
But then I have got friends that if they can't talk about football to someone else, they're stuck. And I never want to be like that. I never want to be that person saying, well, no, I probably can talk about boxing, I can talk about cricket. And then if I want to go away from sport, as you said, we can talk about music because we've had loads of, we've gone to concerts, we've had loads
we probably spoke more about music than we've actually football, really. And just like trainers and clothes and that. But I think I just find it mad now as well, going back to being older than we were. Mate, some of our heroes at the minute are about 5, 6, 7, 8 years younger than us. And doesn't it kill you, Jace?
It's I find it weird. And what I find weird is that some of the guys I remember making debuts are now retiring. So like a Gerrard, like a Lampard.
Honestly, it's
Rooney's another one in it. He will retire.
Like the generation that we grew up with. Like obviously Beckham, like Beckham's gone, Lampard's bloody managing. Like Gerrard, 10 years ago, you're thinking he ain't going to be managing Rangers in 10 years. Like, it's weird.
Like again, I remember Gerrard scoring his first goal for Liverpool, so I was just watching it on TV. Obviously, we all remember Rooney coming through, and he's retiring. And again, the only one that just seems to look like they're not really slowing down is Cristiano Ronaldo. He's just an unreal.
He's a freak, isn't he? Mate, he was killing me the other day when there was on about Bale going, well, when he went to Spurs on loan. Oh, he's passed it now, he's 31. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm 31. Like, obviously, he's next level fitness to me, but I'm like, hey, can you just write someone off just because you've hit over 30, man? Like, have you seen his record and everything for that? Like, it's ridiculous.
He's as again, mate. I think if you even CR7, if you look at him, their explosiveness not there as they were 25. Their game's just completely changed. I think probably CR7's probably adapted to it the most, and that is why he's probably one of the greatest footballers ever.
He's just ridiculous in terms of his.
I think you're naive if you think the Gareth Bale that was going to come and run past everyone and do whatever was coming to Tottenham now. He is just older, and his body ain't going to be able to do it, but he's still a world-class player. Like, do you get what I mean? So, no, it is, as I said, mate, when you're just seeing people sort of retire that you remember making debuts, or you remember them being called young, breaking into teams, and that's what makes me feel old. And I just say, like, I've been in the academy system, so there's players I used to play against, they've retired now. When you look at it from that way as well, you think, fucking hell, he's retired now. It's a mad one, mate. It does make you feel your age.
Like, mate, we'll have a separate conversation, obviously, whatever, podcast session about Grealish or whatever. But Kel, you already know this, but she murders me for him because obviously I adore him, everyone else does, but I'm like, he's 25 years old, man. In any other normal scenario or situation, I'm not going out my way to adore a 25-year-old bloke. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's ridiculous. But then you see him as, I think they just always seem older, than they actually are. Ming's 27, like, it's mad. But
I suppose because they're in the position they're in, they do have to live their lives differently to what we would have done at 25. So we only probably see one side of them when they're giving interviews or doing whatever. And then again, the minute because if you look at a lot of these footballers, especially when they're younger, when they're in paper for women and stuff like that, like they're nothing that we wouldn't have done at that age if given the opportunity. But because they're in that position of authority and that responsibility where the whole world is watching them, they do have to be slightly differently. Their lifestyles have to be different. And that is why I think they seem a lot older. Like, you look at Raheem Sterling talk, and then you see at his age, and you think, bloody hell. Could I have spoke like him at his age? Was I like him at his age? But the difference is he has to be like that, because he's just carrying sort of the country on his shoulders with the responsibility he's got of being young, being rich, being a footballer in the public eye. And again, like when you go back to Jack Grealish, I think we spoke about it the other week in terms of he's sort of now, he's either got to look at the circle around him at times, I think, or he has got to sort of just, he seems to have, because the incident he got in trouble for the other week was like a year ago, wasn't it? Well, earlier in the year. But he has got to grow up a bit, because, but then again, I know I could tell you countless of lads that have done worse than what he's done.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's not in the paper, it's not on the news, because obviously they're nobody compared to Grealish. So I think sometimes you need to cut them. You do need to cut them a bit of slack in terms of the age. Like, I mean, we went on a stag do once, and I think there was a story come out, and I think it was some footballer, and he was on a yacht misbehaving, and he was doing nothing bad, to be fair. I think he was drinking, doing whatever. I remember some of the boys putting it in a WhatsApp group going, how can you do this? I was like, boys, we've just been to Dublin. Look at what we've just done. Do you get, I'm worth 5-6 years older than him. And they were like, fair enough. I was just like, they're just young lads, a lot of them. And again, when everything you do is scrutinised, I think it takes a special personality to completely stay out the paper at times. It really does. And I think that's why they do come across a lot older than us at times.
Yeah, I agree, mate. And I think I was watching the Rashford doc. You know, he had that BBC doc.
I watched that, yeah.
Obviously, because he's just fighting the world with what he's trying to do. But obviously, he's young, he's black, he's 23, he's minted. The papers. No, mate, the papers and the media are just waiting, because I was thinking this the other day, like, at the minute, and he's squeaky clean. But it's only a matter of time before they find the tiniest thing, or he slips up or something, and then we'll just tear him down. I think there was like, obviously the Daily Mail put something about him the other day, because obviously he's got a bit of money now, and he's helped he's bought his family all houses, and then what's wrong with that? And and they've put some ridiculous headline, and then he's commented back on it. But what's wrong with that? He's came from nothing. He's a multi-millionaire. Because he's worked hard. Yeah, you shouldn't be a multi-millionaire at 23. It's insane, but it's the world we're living in, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and you know what, mate? I honestly think social economically, you middle and probably higher class people, they have no time for your working class people when they do make money. And they're the people who run the papers, if I'm honest. Your middle and upper class people. So even, obviously, I do think race is a massive thing, and they do perceive black footballers and black rich people different to others. Like, Jenson Button lived abroad, for example, but he was never labelled a tax dodger, but Lewis Hamilton is. Do you get what I mean? And stuff like that. And then, obviously, you've done the one with Rashford and the house, and you've done the one where Foden brought a house for his mum, and then the other Man City brought a house for his mum, and the stories were told completely differently. But I think if you look at the way they've done Rooney at times, again, a working class lad from Liverpool, is rose to be probably the best English player I've seen anyway. He's got money coming out of his ears, done him. David Beckham from a working class family, he makes a mistake in the cup final. I mean, not in the cup final, in the World Cup. He gets absolutely vilified. And the problem with the papers is that they control the public's feelings. So if the Sun, for example, writes, this player is a dickhead, for example, 9 or probably 7 out of 10 people will agree with the Sun, because they can dictate what the public feel. So I think that is where a lot of the problems come into it then as well. And as I said, like, obviously racial, but social economical as well. I think that sort of looked past a bit in terms of the genuine upper middle class and upper class people do not like to see working class people do so well. If you're a lad from fucking, I'm a kid from Handsworth initially, then I've come and moved up into Sparkhill, and I live in Hall Green now. So if I then go and earn so much money doing whatever, guarantee you there's going to be upper class people that were just probably born into the wealth or had a good helping hand to get there. will resent me for where I've come from to doing whatever. I don't look like them, I don't sound like them, I don't walk like them. Do you get what I mean? So I do think it's sort of, it is a bit about know your place. You shouldn't really make money. Do you get what I mean?
We could be here for all day speaking about that, because you, like you saying, you've had it. I'm from Dudley. I've got this wonderful accent. I've had it before. You know what I'm saying, mate? I've had it my whole life, and I will continue to have it. And it's just, obviously, I don't care. Like, it's me, it's you. Do you know what I mean? But I love being. It's all about being the underdog, isn't it? And I love being the underdog. I've been in meetings before, and I can just see, and you probably had it as well. You can just see the way they're looking at you and talking to you, and you're thinking, right then, right, you think I'm gonna ain't nothing here. I'll show you. And it just makes, I think it just makes you more determined, doesn't it? I mean,
it can do.
It does definitely with me. I mean, I laugh with people. I can see it with people. They're like, right, he's got that dreadful accent. He's going to be thick as anything. Don't know what he's talking about. Black country people don't know anything. Cool. All right then. I love it, because I'm like, just write me off and see what happens. But
yeah, definitely.
But going back to your media point, I think it comes full circle now. Obviously, we're talking about footballers and that, but it comes full circle for what we were talking about when we first started. They're controlling the way people perceive the whole pandemic, what we're meant to believe, what we're not meant to believe, and it's mate. I was like, I work in media, so I know how they do work, and it's insane, really. Some of the stuff that they're allowed to print.
Yeah, mate. And then I don't think they're held accountable. I don't think they control the public's perception of any situation they want to write about. They can make your mind up effectively. And as people, we're very gullible at times. We can believe everything we do read in the media. But again, we need the media because it is your source of information. That's how you learn what's going on in the world. So, there's good and bad points to media, definitely. But I do think that they can really control the public's perception of an incident that's gone on and what they actually think.
I've enjoyed it, mate. It's been good, man.
Yeah, mate. Same here, mate. Just let me know when you want us to get back on, and then I'll just jump back on with you.
Yeah, mate. Same. Well, good to see you.
Yeah, take care of yourself, mate.
See you later.
See you in a bit, pal.